Hey, it's Sparky, Fifer, 1250 AM, The Fan, along with our guys, Dwight Albrecht, Spare Time Pro Shop. Follow him on Twitter at Dewey300. And again, if you're looking to get a ball drilled, buy a bowling ball, go check him out over there at the New Berlin Entertainment Center. Is that what they call it now? I call it New Berlin Bowl.
New Berlin Ale House.
New Berlin Ale House is the bar restaurant, yeah. Brew City Bowling, that's our guy, $2 Phil Brylow. Catch him. He's got some streaming going on this weekend, right, for the PBA 50, Phil?
Yeah, Midwest regions right here in the Milwaukee area in Sussex at Sussex Bowl. They have 2 qualifying squads on Saturday, 9 a.m., 2 p.m., and then the semifinals and finals on Sunday starting at 9 a.m. So some of the stars like Lenny Boris Jr. down in Florida with the PBA 50 National Tour. So a couple of big names won't be there, him, Tom Hess, but there's still going to be a lot of great PBA 50 players there. If you can't make Sussex Bowl in person, it'll be on their Facebook page or the PBA Midwest Regions Facebook page for the live streaming. So get a chance to watch and you see some great bowling.
That's good stuff. NASCAR also is in town this week in the Truck Series.
Yeah,
NASCAR Truck Series over at the Milwaukee Mile.
We got our tickets.
Oh, you're going?
Oh, absolutely. The same family that we go to Indy with in Iowa.
I totally screwed it up.
We are on the top row.
Yeah, I totally screwed it up. Like that's like my favorite race to go to is the truck race at the Milwaukee Mile.
Yeah.
And back in March or whatever, when Brewers tickets went on sale, they had this Sunday fun day package for families.
Yes. Yeah.
So we were trying to figure out what worked with our schedule, blah, 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 blah. So back then we bought Brewers tickets for this Sunday against the Padres. And I was like, and I saw the billboard. I was like, oh my goodness gracious, you idiot.
I guess that
it's $59. You get 4 tickets, hot dogs, sodas, and parking for $59.
That's great price.
Again, they're upper deck seats, but who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the building, the kids love it. It's a good time.
I guess at least the center of the stands is completely sold out.
Good.
So I asked the guy that we're going with, what about the corners? And he goes, no, they're just mainly going to keep it in the center stands under the.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. That'll be fun. I love that. That truck race at the Milwaukee Mile is amazing. Yes, Phil?
Well, and now Go Bowling, they just re-upped. They had the Go Bowling at the Glen this past weekend for the NASCAR guys for the top tier. They re-upped for a couple more years. So they're bowling's still going to be involved. So Kyle Troop and Shannon O'Keefe were there doing promos and that type of thing. So so bowling's involvement with NASCAR continues on after this weekend. So
that's awesome.
You know what? The only thing with that though is it said on, because we have YouTube TV at home, it said on the YouTube channel, it said bowling at the Glen, and it showed a picture of a ball going into the pin. So I thought it was a bowling tournament. So of course I click on it. It's a NASCAR race.
Now that would be cool if they put up a set of like outdoor lanes, and did something there. That would be kind of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be on TV, but something that could be fun for the fans that are there and stuff.
Yeah. What do they call that?
Exhibition.
Clickbait?
Yeah, some type of exhibition or something. But
so they got me on clickbait. So I clicked on it, and it's a NASCAR race.
Yeah. All right. Kyle and Shannon were doing demos on a couple of lanes they installed at Watkins Glen. So tent and everything. So so they were spreading the word out there.
That's awesome. I love it. It's a great idea to cross promote two sports.
Absolutely.
All right. So big news after we had recorded our podcast last week came out that the PBA and Fox have agreed to a new deal. Now, this is one that everybody on this show has been waiting for. We had Tom Clark on, the PBA commissioner, and at that point he said, we're pretty much talking, but I had nothing to announce at this point. Mm-hmm. We all knew this was a big deal. This is a bigger deal for the PBA probably than obviously it is for Fox, who has the NFL and so forth to deal with. But this was a huge deal for the PBA and a big deal because they kept their over-the-air part of this on Big Daddy Fox, as we like to call it, right?
Yeah.
Fox 6 locally
over the air
in Milwaukee. So part of this deal is a 2-year media rights extension, which is good. So 2 more years locked in. So for the 23-24 season, 24-25 season, the contract will usher the PBA to the most broadcast windows they've ever televised in a single season on Fox. The package will consist of 30 televised programs with 8 2-hour Fox windows and 22 2-hour FS1 windows. Why do we need 2-hour windows? Unless this is PBA saying you have to take 2 hours, like we need you to fill 2 hours. We can't. 1-hour windows are great, but it makes it more difficult for us to fill the other hour that's after you or whatever. Maybe they got forced into this from Fox of, we're good, but you got to take 2-hour windows, figure it out. Maybe that's what it is. I don't like 2-hour windows. I've said it before. I think it's too long. I think you're asking people too long to sit there and watch for 2 hours. I think an hour is a perfect time frame to get people in and out of a PBA telecast. Phil, your thoughts on this?
I think the 2-hour windows are fine, especially when you have the 5-player step ladders. You're not worried about really running over, bleeding other programming. I think that's part of Fox thing too, especially during the NASCAR coverage they have or other, because we've seen that before. All of a sudden NASCAR runs long, bowling gets bumped, that type of thing. I think that helps as well. The thing I don't like is when they go back to back and it turns into 4 hours. And
yes,
we saw that last year on
like
CBS Sports Network, where it was 9 hours of bowling on a weekend.
Yes.
I know pretty much everybody that I talked to watched it on their DVR, spread it out, watched it, that type of thing, because it just it just gets to be a little bit too much. It's like anything you watch. Binging is, if you have the time for it during the pandemic, great. This isn't the pandemic anymore. Everybody's got lives again. So the 2 hour, I see the 2 hour windows as long as I spread them out. I'm not a fan of the 17-player step ladder like we saw with the US Open last year. Fine, you got some new guys that got some FaceTime, that type of thing. As long as they can avoid that again, I'm happy with the 2-hour windows. We'll just have to see how they get scheduled out. Are they going to be, a lot of Saturday, Sunday coverages like we saw with the USBC Masters and with the Tournament of Champions? That was okay. Players Championship 4 week, we had 4 shows. So for the majors, maybe we'll get a few more non-majors. I mean, that's all the TV was in 2023 was majors pretty much on Fox. If we can get a few regular events on there again, showcase some of the cities that the PBA goes to that other professional sports ignore, like Jonesboro or Lubbock or that type of thing. Those are always pretty neat spots, and they always had some history behind them. Norm's last title, Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Right.
Before he retired, that type of thing, when he went back to back at age 59. So, there's been some cool history in these small towns that hopefully we can get highlighted again on Fox. That's my personal feeling on it.
Dwight, what do you think?
I think, first off, the 2-year contract is huge. For the people that are on social media, I read the negative comments all the time about the times are always all over the place. And you guys better be just happy that we got TV with bowling instead of all stream. And so those guys shouldn't be arguing. Like Phil said, set your DVR. And again, with YouTube, we set our DVR and watch it at other times. To get back to the 2 hour, I would say again, it's a little long, but again, with other races and whatnot, overlapping the times, it just gives you that little extra window. I'm just happy that it's back and looking forward to the season.
Yeah, I agree with you and Phil, what you say, as far as coming off of something else. It gives you a little extra breathing room to get this thing done. So I'll take back what I said about the 2 hour window. That makes a lot more sense to me as far as why that would be. The part in here in this press release that I got sent to me, this quote, this is from Bill, now I'm going to script his name, Wanger, Wanger, EVP, head of programming and scheduling at Fox Sports. Quote, the PBA has been an invaluable partner to our networks and viewership was up nearly 15% for the 2023 season. We hope to continue on this path of growth for years to come. Yep. That's a big number, sizable jump at 15%. Yep. I mean, with that being said, the PBA, I think, probably had some leverage in this whole conversation as far as, hey, well, we're on the rise. This is going up year over year. You kind of want us back here. This makes sense for you, and obviously makes sense for us. And we talked about this when they got this deal originally, that this was going to be huge for the PBA Tour. And if viewership is up 15%, it's not up 15% because of core bowlers. It's up 15% because casual bowlers and casual fans are starting to tune in more. And that's something, Phil, if they can continue on that path, can continue to grow this sport in a big way.
I think part of it is the years that the superstars of the sport actually had. As many times as you saw EJ Tackett and Jason Belmonte and Anthony Simonson.
Right.
These guys are starting to get recognized a little bit more walking through airports and that type of thing, where all of a sudden, hey, I've seen you on TV, where that wasn't the case for a lot of years back in the day. It's the superstar factor. A lot of players hate it because the money gets top heavy. The way they have, hey, these guys are bowling for $100,000 on TV, so the prize funds get top heavy for the majors, and these guys are coming through and winning. But you know what, guys, then get better. Make yourself the next EJ Tackett, work harder, make yourself the next Jason Belmonte, get yourself on TV more, do what you need to do. And get yourself in that superstar status, so you get recognized more. I mean, you're gonna have more opportunities now. I think unofficial count this year, there's 23 or 24 Fox and Fox Sports shows in total. Once you get done with the 4 shows in Portland, Maine, 6 more opportunities to get on TV and get yourself recognized, and hopefully, maybe as bowling gets more popular, maybe we see some extra sponsorship from outside areas, or bowlers signing, NIL deals, that type of thing, with, the old Dick Weber and Choice Hotels and that type of thing. And, more bowlers get outside sponsorship from outside the industry.
What did you think Kyle Troop and Jason Belmonte would be loaded with stuff?
I think it's still the same thing bowling's fought for a lot of years, which is just the image of the sport. Still too many people in corporate America are the blue collar. It's the blue collar sport. They're not athletes. The old line, the old line from Kingpin, where, welcome to my church and look at all these great athletes, and there's guys eating pizzas and smoking cigars and crap like that. I still think on Madison Avenue, it's a tough image to get over, and I think that's one of the reasons why Bowlero is trying to get that past that now. Sure, you can have fun with it. We have that end of the sport, that end of recreation for everybody.
Still
come on out
to a degree, yeah.
But for the people that have this as a sport, look at these guys. These are athletes now, and hopefully that keeps registering with, these guys get sponsored by somebody else other than a ball company or a shoe company, or on occasion you see some other things with, Sean Rash is he's got the closest thing to a NASCAR fire suit that we've seen with sponsorship. He's got Arnicare and Tony Stewart Racing and other sponsors.
I mean, I'm sure he did all of that by himself.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, he's a hustler when it comes to all that stuff. Getting all that sponsorship. He's out there busting tail himself. I've heard of no agent that he has or anything like that. And knowing Sean, he'd want to keep that extra 10% for himself anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Well, no, and I totally get that. But
yeah,
man, like I don't know. Like there are so many deals. Like the first one that comes to mind for me, and I don't know if they would be interested in doing it or not, but they're just talking about making a huge expansion over here in Franklin, Wisconsin, is CarMax. You're telling me this sport that runs in the wintertime on TV and CarMax doesn't seem like a natural fit together, working together. I did a deal with CarMax back in the day when I did the big show. I did a whole lunch thing over at CarMax. I brought food in and the whole deal and got a tour of the plant and the whole deal. And they were part of a deal here on the radio station here. That to me makes a lot of sense. Like these winter type brands, that would make sense. Beer's already involved. That's a huge deal, right? I think the other thing that has to kind of come here is to get one of these motor companies involved. That's the next thing, right? Chevy, Ford, Hyundai, whoever.
Yeah. Well, they had Kia for a little while.
What?
They had Kia for about a year and a half.
They did.
And then why that deal went away, I heard nothing on it. So whether, who wasn't happy with it, most of the time it's, the company that threw the money at it. But they'd have no reason to not be happy. They were getting a lot of eyes on their product. So I don't know why Kia would have pulled away so quickly after 18 months.
That 15% increase in viewership is a huge leverage arm for the PBA when it comes to sponsorship. My whole take on all this is just, it's everything. It's the quality of the shows that Fox does. It's Rob and Randy going toward that comical younger crowd. It's Portland, Maine, and the crazy fans in the stands, bowling heaven. But it's just the production of the show. I mean, the camera angles, you have Specto. It's getting that younger crowd. Again, the crowds in Milwaukee, guys are traveling from Ohio to be in the crowds, and they're sellouts, and the fans are into it. And so I think it's everything. And so that's the beauty of this. It just continues to grow.
Yeah.
We talk about, and we have talked about on here, the streaming aspect of it. And that really isn't brought up in this deal. I would be interested to knowing, as far as this is over the air TV, this is a cable TV deal, are they automatically locked in to where they can't go find a streaming partner to do this, where you have to be on, what is it? Tubi, Teletubby, whatever it is.
I mentioned Peacock.
Yeah.
Right?
So maybe you're locked in there because that's the Fox, sister to them with their streaming, even though, again, I know nobody that actually has it. So maybe that's where you're locked in and they won't let you go find a different streaming partner because of it. But that I think is the next step now is how do you grow the streaming aspect for those people that don't have over the air TV anymore, and are just
cable.
and just have apps all over their phone or all over their smart TV that they're doing. How do you draw those people in to watch the PBA Tour, Phil?
Are you talking about like qualifying and match play?
No,
before?
I'm talking about just the TV damn shows.
Just the TV finals. Okay.
The TV finals on Sundays and stuff. I don't
So
the qualifying and all that stuff. That's niche. That's niche stuff. I want the TV finals. If I'm 20-some years old and I don't have cable or satellite or anything, but I love bowling and I'm in a men's bowling league and I want to watch Belmonte. Again, they do a horrible. Let me clarify this. A horrible job during TV telecast promoting streaming for this sport of where you can watch it if you want to stream. They do a horrible job of advertising where to find this on as far as to find the streaming element, as far as on social media and so forth. Like, it's non-existent. You don't know it exists. And that is an area where I think you could take a gigantic step forward if you just put some. And again, I know we don't have a lot of resources, but if you put a resource or two towards, okay, let's figure out how we can grow that side of this to go along with the TV element, I think that's where you can really start to grow the audience to even a larger level, Phil.
Right. And whether the PBA is going to be able to market that themselves. I mean, everybody can watch a TV show, wait 30 days to do it. I mean, once you get done waiting for that 30 days, hey, here you go. Here's the Fox Sports show. Yeah, people need to be able to do that earlier and not necessarily on the PBA YouTube channel. I know Fox Sports is an app. I've watched, like sitting in the airport, I've watched a PBA show on the Fox Sports app. But like you said, it's just not promoted. You have to go searching for it to find
Phil,
it.
do you know how hard this would be? This would be Rob Stone reading a liner card.
Well, yes.
I mean, that's what it would be. It would be tagging the streaming app in all your social media posts for the PBA Tour. Stream here, boom, and with the app or whatever on it. And I don't even know what the app's Twitter account is, or Facebook. But it would be that easy just to get it out there and get people knowing about it.
PBA could do it on their own social media. Go, hey, we find out. We're on Tubi. There you go. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
we'll see what happens after 2 years.
I do like Rob Stone's tweet the other day, though, right after the announcement was made, where Rob just said, "We back."
Yep,
we back.
He's happy it's back too. I don't know how much involvement he's going to have other than a few majors, that type of thing. But that's another thing that's going to be interesting this year. What route they're going with the commentary when Rob's
well, if it's not
there.
Rob Stone, then it's not going to be the same.
Yeah,
and you're going to cost yourself.
Yes,
you could tell me whatever you want about Dave Ryan and some of these other guys, but they're not Rob. They're just not.
Right.
And to your point, Phil, that's fine. If you want to have Rob Stone on just the majors, right? Because he has a busy schedule with college basketball and soccer and everything else.
Oh, goodness,
fine. Okay, fine. Then he gets just the majors, and then Dave Ryan or whoever else is going to be in that spot, gets the other ones. I'm fine with that if that's what you want to do. But the broadcast is definitely not the same. It's just not. And that's not a knock on Randy, but the chemistry that he and Rob have are kind of unmatched at this point.
It is. For me, it's promotion, like you were talking about, and then affordability. That's what everyone talks about for streaming is, and again, Tom said bowlers are cheap. Tom Clark said bowlers are cheap. So it's affordability. I think that's going to be the thing that, and again, let's see what happens after 2 years, again, with this contract. After the 2 years, are they going to get another contract? Is at some point, are we going to have stream only down the road?
But that's the point though, Dwight. Bowlers are cheap. Fine. Okay. I agree with you. I'm not asking bowlers to pay more money. I'm asking bowlers, hey, look, you've got Paramount Plus, or you've got Max, or you've got Peacock. Okay, guess what? The PBA Tour is now available on that streaming service that you already have. Right. So you already have everything else, and now you get the PBA on that app as well. Right. I do not want, let me clarify this again. I do not want a separate app for just the PBA Tour. Absolutely not.
Right.
I want it included into a popular app that has all these movies and TV shows, whatever else. Put it on Netflix for all I care. I don't care, but put it somewhere where you already have a large base of people that may or may not be bowling fans that now have an opportunity to watch it if they want, because it's right there in front of them. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it just perks somebody's interest, like, hey, what's this? And they see, Jason Belmonte throwing a messenger across the deck, and it's like, wow, I've never seen that in bowling before. And they get, they just get that initial peak of interest, and they turn it on for 5 minutes, and then later on they turn it on for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden they become a Jason Belmonte fan, and all of a sudden every time Jason's on, they start watching, and all of a sudden, let's watch these other. It's just got to be a snowball effect, and you just got to find a way to grab them for that. If you grab somebody for 5 minutes nowadays, it's not a bad thing. It
No
really
doubt.
isn't, because it could snowball from there.
And that's the other thing. These bowlers, now again, I have no idea how many interviews these bowlers do throughout the course of the year. But if I'm Tom Clark, I'm in their ear. Promote where you can find it on streaming, please. Every time you go on to do an interview, please promote Tubi or whatever it's called, to be, hey, don't forget, you can also stream us on Tubi as well as watching us on Fox. Every time, just once an interview, that's all it's got to be. Just hit it one time in every interview and try and ingrain these bowlers' minds how important it is to get kind of the streaming part of this kind of going. I would love to know if in those Fox media rights deal, if there was any conversation as far as how many people were actually streaming that thing when it was available, what those numbers look like versus what the over-the-air TV numbers look like or what the cable numbers look like for FS1. That would be something I'd be interested in knowing as far as, were people streaming it? Yeah. Were there a lot of people streaming it? Did people find it on their own? Or I'd be curious to find out those numbers.
I mean, looking at a lot of the PBA shows on YouTube, once they're on after a while, I mean, there's tens of thousands of viewers even a month after the fact that people will go on there and watch the TV show. Whether are those the people that don't have FS1 or
maybe
that type of thing? Probably.
Yep.
And they want to see what their favorite player did, that type of thing. And it's also, people from around the world. There's PBA fans everywhere.
Exactly.
I mean, the Lucky Larsons next month in Sweden, there's a whole bunch of PBA players going over there to bowl in that. And you're going to see raucous crowds, not quite Bayside Bowl crowds, but it's going to be a full bowling center.
And again, you're there already.
Yeah.
So cut a deal with YouTube TV then.
Yeah.
There, boom, there's your base. Yeah. Cut a deal with YouTube TV. Plenty of people have YouTube TV. That's where the NFL is going. So go cut a deal there and see if you can get a deal in there. But again, this all has to work with Fox. Fox may not allow it. Fox may be like, nope, you're on our app and we're not going to allow you to go anywhere else. And if that's the case, you're stuck. All right, let's move on. Topic number 2. It's good to be Pete Weber.
PDW.
Please explain, Dwight.
I'm sure Phil's probably seen the videos, but there's kind of like 3 big Pete Weber stories right now, and it's good to be Pete Weber. And the first one that caught my attention, I brought it up to Sparky, was that he got a contract with Muggsy Jeans. Yeah. And if you haven't seen the commercial, it's pretty funny. Yeah. And so Pete does a great job in it.
Pete Weber, who has not been on TV really all year.
Right. A couple of years.
Has a Gene contract.
A Gene contract for Muggsy Jeans.
Troop has been on TV how many times? Belmonte has been on TV how many times? And Pete Weber finds the Jeans contract.
Right.
Again.
So some of the funny parts of it, somewhere they're going to tie in who do you are? I am. Right. Who do you think you are? I am. But they have this little boy that comes up, and everyone knows Pete doesn't like to sign autographs. And he goes up to Pete Weber and says, Mr. Weber, can I have your autograph? And of course, Pete gives him the look of death. And I'm like, oh God, here we go on TV. There comes an F-bomb, F off kid,
right.
Because that's really Pete in real life. And so he gives him that look and he says, sure, kid. I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen in real life. That made me laugh out loud, and then of course they got his face like right in front of the camera saying, who do you think you are? I am, and it was really a funny commercial. It was really well done.
And obviously it worked because you pretty much recited the whole commercial.
Pretty much.
So it obviously paid off in that aspect. But this is where, again, what we were just talking about. Come on, man. You're telling me Kyle Troop and his hair can't get a damn ad somewhere with some national company to do something at this point? Jason Belmonte has his own brand of everything and can't figure out a way to get into a car deal. I don't know.
Kyle Troop is not Pete Weber. Kyle Troop does not have that shock factor.
He doesn't have that moment. Pete has that moment. If Pete didn't have that moment, Pete wouldn't have that Jeans deal probably.
Might not.
Well, because that moment still holds it true.
Right. It's still a bad boy of bowling. I mean, I see Pete sign plenty of autographs after rounds of competition. If somebody asks him in the middle round, he politely says, no, I can't. It's against the PBA rules to sign during competition. Find me after we're done, that type of thing. But it's still he still has the bad boy from all the crap he did in the 80s and 90s. When
he was younger, he was a true bad boy, more so than he was by the end.
He went on record and said he wanted to be the villain in the wrestling ring.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Which is great.
Right.
That's what the PBA should always want. They don't have that currently, but that's why the Rash Belmonte thing was good, because you got to pick who you were rooting for in that battle between these two dudes that clearly did not like each other. It wasn't fake. It wasn't put on. They didn't like each other.
Yes.
That's why when you talk about NASCAR or IndyCar,
people still talk about it.
Right. NASCAR or IndyCar, when two dudes generally don't like each other, That's what makes it great.
Yes.
He wrecks him. You know he's going to get him later, and it's going to be payback at some point.
Yeah.
That's what makes it great. When two NFL teams genuinely don't like each other, not this, oh, we're down the highway from them, so we're going to hate them. Okay, fine. Fans, you can hate them. But when these dudes are friends and everything else, then it's not really a rivalry. But if two teams genuinely don't like Packers Patriots, that's not a rivalry, but they got into it at two joint practices.
Yeah.
And they were fighting before the damn preseason game. Now, that was not a rivalry. There was no bad blood prior to this, but it escalated during the week. Okay, now we have two teams that genuinely don't like each other. Now we've got something. But a lot of times that's hard to get.
Yes.
And right now, you don't. I don't think you really have that on the PBA Tour. And if you do have people that don't like each other, it's not out there enough for people to realize it because nothing has happened in front of a TV camera.
Or the guys aren't making the shows.
Right.
There's quite a few of that. Yeah. There's a bit of that going on out there. I'm not going to get into full details, but yeah, there's enough guys where if we got a couple of older guys to make TV, you can see some fireworks.
But it's got to happen on TV because if it doesn't happen on TV, it doesn't count.
Right. Exactly.
And I still think if Sean Rash makes a TV show and has to bowl against Belmo, the announcers pick up on that, and they're going to go there. And obviously,
as they should,
viewers are looking to see if there's going to be fireworks during that match.
It's Sean Rash and everybody nowadays. I mean, you look back a couple of years ago at the Players Championship where he was bitching about urethane and, how the balls were illegal and nobody was listening to him, that kind of thing. Nobody's admitted to Sean that, hey, you were right. After all the
Sean's got the one that got the ball rolling on this whole thing.
He's kind of, and so there's players out there that don't like Sean to this moment because of that, but it's not, it's not made public type of thing. And when's the last time Sean made a show? So,
he's had his physical ailments that he's been dealing with too, in fairness to him.
Right. He had a couple shows this year, but as you said, they talked more about his physical ailments than anything else that was going on.
Yeah.
So the second one was Pete Weber. Looked like he was at a trade show. Did you see that video, Phil?
Yeah.
And it shows fans coming in and redoing his "Who do you think you are? I am," and he actually judged it.
Yeah.
So Pete Weber's there judging it.
So good.
Right, and so the fans are throwing the glasses on the ground, and they have it down to the word because before he says, "Who do you think you are? I am," he's doing, "I did it! Can you believe it? I did it!" He's looking up at the at the ceiling and the whole type of deal, and then he looks at the group of people that were distracting him during the show, and then points at him and says, "Who do you think you are? I am." So that was kind of cool. That was the second video I saw, and so of course Pete judges this and says this guy is clearly the winner. He got it down to the T. So that was kind of fun to watch.
That's cool too. Mm-hmm. So somebody paid him money to come in and be a part of this thing, and then drew a bunch of people to come do it. That's awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's good.
And then of course the third one, he just won a 50 tournament. Dave Lamont was interviewing him, and he was in his rare form, pretty pumped up after. I'm sure Phil saw that video, pumped up, and then he gave a lot of kudos. He kept mentioning Kelly, my rep Kelly. And I'm thinking, Kelly, who's on Storm staff? Yeah, Kelly Kulik. So he ended up bringing her in, and they interviewed her for a while after the win.
Haven't seen a female on the PBA Tour in some time, y'all.
Well, she was doing some ball repping on the regular tour before the pandemic. And
I'm saying females bowling making shows.
Yeah,
that whole thing has gone away. Like, are they even out there trying to qualify
CBS
anymore?
Sports.
I just covered at the regional level, there's quite a few. I just covered a regional in Grand Rapids a couple of weeks back, and the Ginger Assassin's sister, Alexis, made the top, made match play in a regional.
That's good.
So there's some females bowling at the regional level, but with the limited PWBA schedule and the travel, all the travel and stuff and the resources these ladies need to have for kind of limited prize funds, they're kind of chasing that more than like how Liz Johnson and Kelly used to chase the PBA Tour around. Plus the physicality of the game, how much it's even changed in a decade, and the lane patterns to combat it and that type of thing. It's just tough for the ball speed. I don't care what gender you are. If your ball speed isn't 18 miles an hour or higher and your rev rate isn't 450 or higher, you're not doing real well on the national tour.
No,
I mean, that doesn't matter. And there's not too many of the females that have that type of speed and rev rate. So they concentrate their efforts on the PWBA side and at the regional level because they have a shot there.
I would love to interview Kelly Kulik. For Pete, that's been around forever. For him to give all those props to Kelly and he kept waving her in. Come on, come on. She didn't want to come onto the camera. So finally she does. How smart is this girl for bowling? I mean, for her to give Pete Weber advice and then Pete gives her props back.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. She's been around the game for so long and she's absorbed so much of it. I had a chance a couple of years ago at a big youth event that Chuck Gardner ran down in North Carolina to have Kelly in the booth with me for a shift, and just picking her brain was so much fun because she just knows so much. And, every guy out there, there's no qualms on the 50 tour. If somebody needs help on that Storm or Rotogriff staff or 900 Global staff and Kelly's there, they're picking Kelly's brain. That's
awesome.
It's great. And they know her as a bowler. It's not male, female. She's one of the greatest bowlers of all time. She knows her stuff. I'm going to talk to her and I'm going to listen to her.
Yep, that's good stuff. He is Phil Brylow, Dwight Albrecht. Of course, follow Phil on Twitter at Bruce City Bowling. Follow Dwight at Dewey300, Spare Time Pro Shop in New Berlin. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Check out the website, 1250amthefan.com. Packer, Brewer, Bucks fan, all kinds of interviews up there. Badgers, Marquette, all that stuff up on the website during the course of the week that I do. All right, last topic here, and this is where having Dwight helps, being a pro shop operator. Our bowling ball is too complicated for the average bowler to understand nowadays. This comes from a post on Twitter from Track Bowling, and I saved it. Because I'm not the smartest dude when it comes to all this bowling stuff. And it says iCore technology meets HK22, available now at your local pro shop. Hashtag Track Bowling, hashtag Paragon Pearl, hashtag Hyperkinetic22, hashtag HK22. There is no link to explain what any of this is. Nothing. And then the dude who's in the picture, not quite sure who that is, holding a green bowling ball in a bowling alley. Now, to me, I saved it because I don't know what HK22 is, Hyperkinetic 22, and I don't know what iCore technology is either. So I had questions on both, and there is no way to get that information from this post from Track Bowling. So I went to my resident nerd, Dwight Albrecht, our bowling nerd, who knows everything about everything because he lives, eats, breathes, and sleeps it. He was just telling us before he came on how busy he is over at the pro shop, selling balls, drilling balls, this whole deal. So first of all, do we know what Hyperkinetic 22 is?
That I do know.
Okay, what is it?
So they came out with it last year. The first ball they put it in, Brunswick put in, was the Defender Hybrid. And it's a new additive. So when we had Carmen Salvino on our show, that was Carmen's job, was to come up with additives to add to the reactive formula. And so HK22, Hyperkinetic 22, of course, I'm assuming stands for the year they designed it. A lot of ball manufacturers do that. They put the number on for the year. And it's just an additive and added to the ball. And what they've seen with it is it gives them a cleaner look through the front, a little bit more angularity in the back, because Brunswick has always had that history of read early and not so much on the back. So I call it, it's almost comparing them to Storm-like in terms of their ball motion, ball reaction. The other thing their oil additive did is it really absorbed oil very quick. And so when we did get a Brunswick branded ball, which is 7 that they own under their umbrella, and we usually saw a lot of oil come out of them. With HK22, we're not seeing as much oil come out of them. That means better longevity for the bowler when they buy a ball. Biggest complaint is I spent $250 on a ball and it lost its hook in 40 to 60 games. So with HK22, they're answering the complaints that they had with their old formula and for the cover. iCore technology, I believe, is just the shape of the core that Track uses in their balls. Now that you mentioned Track, I didn't think you mentioned that before the show, but I believe that's just the shape of the cores. And so Track is part of Brunswick's brand of 7. And so iCore meets HK22. So that means this is probably one of the first Track balls that they're using that new additive in.
The Paragon Pearl, it's called.
Right.
And Phil, you and I were talking about how this stuff just has become way too complicated. Like most of us, you could put all this, this new technology, this and that.
Yeah.
But the average bowler, Phil, has no earthly idea of what the heck any of this is.
When I've been calling regionals lately, people will get in the chat on Facebook and go, "Hey, what's this guy throwing? That guy throwing?" I'm like, going, "Sorry, man. If it's purple or not purple, that's pretty much what I know right now."
You're
because there's just, I don't follow it. That's what if I have color commentators, guys that bowl out there and know all the different and if you talk to guys that are on staffs with certain companies, they know everybody else's stuff on top of it too. It's not just their stuff they know everybody's. You talk to a Stu Williams or Chris Barnes, they know how these other balls from other companies react compared to their stuff for Storm or Rotogrip or 900 Global. And it's just, for me, it's, the couple years that the pandemic shut down, I just kind of got away from following the bowling balls, and I just haven't caught up. And I just defer to guys like Dwight. It's just I don't know what these bowling balls do now, guys. Talk to your pro shop, to your pro shop guy, especially because if you don't have the speed or rev rate of a PBA regional guy, that ball's probably not going to work for you the way it's drilled and everything else. You need to find something for your game. I mean, it's for me, I'm just kind of done with the whole bowling ball.
Bill, let's go off of that.
Follow it.
Let's go off of that for a second.
All right.
So Dwight, some dude walks in or some gal walks into the pro shop. You don't know them from Adam. Have no idea who they are. They walk in. They're like, hey, I average 175, 180, bowl right-handed, kind of throw it from the second arrow. But again, you don't know how many rev rates they have. You don't know how fast they throw. You don't know any of that stuff. And they're like, we're looking for a new bowling ball. What would you suggest? How do you, from your position, go about figuring out the best ball for that person?
It's easy. That's why I'm inside of a center. Ball. Well, then we're going to just keep it pretty simple.
Sure.
But if it's more of an advanced league bowler and he's looking to improve, we flip on a lane and watch him throw. And so also being a coach, I know what things I need to look at: speed, rev rate, axis tilt, axis rotation. Then look at that wall and say, okay, based off of how you bowl, should be the ball that you should be into. And then we try to match it up to where you're going to bowl league. Where's your house? And you have to know how every center in town is going to oil the lanes and match that ball up to the lanes. And the problem is a lot of centers change the shot. Alpine Lanes and Muskego put in brand new lanes. So here I'm trying to get information from my customers when they come in. Okay, what panel is it? Do you know what the color of it is? And I'm thinking now it's the Brunswick Generation 2 Pro Anvil lane they put in Muskego. And then they go, oh yeah, Curtis, the proprietor out there, the lanes were super flooded, so he changed the shot to this new panel. So even for the proprietors, when they get a new panel, and they kind of got to experiment to get the shot back to where they get scores. So it's a piece to a puzzle, but that's the beauty of being inside of a center. For shops that don't have that, or a lot of times when I'm busy and I can't get a lane on, I always tell people, look, at today's cell phones have incredibly good video. Just have someone videotape you bowling. And
Perfect.
And bring in your cell phone.
Right.
And then I'll analyze it because the video quality today is so good.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great idea. Bring in, somebody videoing you recording you on your phone or whatever,
right.
Bowling. And then you could show the pro shop operator, because, hey, face facts, most of these guys aren't in bowling alleys anymore. A lot of these pro shops in this area are standing on a corner somewhere.
Correct.
I mean, Lenny Borsch, your guy who we just had on, he's down in Racine at Castle Lanes. He's in the center. You're in the center. But there aren't a lot of these guys left that are still in bowling centers. So you're going to have to kind of be prepared. And how many guys or women come into the pro shop with their bowling balls? Or how many people just walk in off the street?
I personally don't like to go into it blind. If I have
Absolutely.
to. Yeah, if I have to, then it's a judgment call.
Right. Yeah.
It's an educated guess.
But most of these people don't know what Kinetic 22 is and all this other stuff.
I was going to get back to that. It's marketing too. A lot of this is marketing. They got to keep it fresh for sales. So in 2014, Storm brought in Victor Marion, and they did the Storm Sync seminar, and Victor went off to try big bowling. And so it was at Olympic Lanes, and there had to be 50 to 60 pro shop guys there, and everyone wanted to hear Victor talk because he's so smart. And so I was trying to follow him as much as I could, and Victor is extremely technical, physics-like. And so after it was all over and done, I put up my hand and I said, this is all great information, but I just got one question for you. Is the ball going to strike? And of course,
everybody started laughing.
Right, the whole room started cracking up laughing. So at the end of the day, sure, this is all great, all the information that you give with HK22 and all that stuff, but it's still all about what does it do as it goes down the lane?
The other thing that I was wondering, why don't they name the ball after the popular bowler that's throwing it?
Well, they have in the past.
Why isn't it like the Kyle Troop 36? It's the Kyle Troop 42. It's a Kyle Troop whatever.
The Johnny Petrilli LT 48.
Right. Okay. Back in the day. But I'm saying now that you're actually getting some of this run here, that you're getting, why not start getting back to that now? Where this is the Jason Belmonte, whatever. This is the Kyle Troop, whatever. Because now it's easier. Because now I watch on TV, I can remember Kyle Troop 36 better than I can remember whatever they're calling these bowling balls anymore. And Rob Stone laughs at the names of the bowling balls too. It's a lot easier to remember if I'm going to go buy a ball that I saw on TV. If it's named, hey, the ball that Kyle Troop shot, 36, I think it is. Oh, yep, no problem. We got it right here. And you're done versus trying to go back and remember what you just saw on TV film.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that the stuff that has come out, like Jason Belmont, it was the Trend and the Trend 2, and it just had his logo on it. Or EJ Tackett's had a couple of balls at Motive where it's got the EJX logo on it. And
sure, that works.
But it's just the logo. When they mention the ball names on TV, they don't mention it's the Jason Belmont. Yeah, that type of thing. Dwight, does it ever get to the point where you actually have to have like a reference guide? Like you can't keep the difference between all these bowling balls in your head, or somebody comes in with a bowling ball from 2 or 3 years ago and you go, what did this ball do when they released it? And how do I compare it to another one? Do you have to use references at it, or are you that much of a nerd?
At least for me, because I deal with it daily.
Okay.
You know, I kind of remember even the balls from the past. The ones that get me are the overseas balls that are being sold on the internet. Okay. So some of these e-tailers sell these overseas balls for super big money. Well, then we got to look at the side of the box and see what cover was put in, what the size of the core is. This is just their version of this ball type of deal. You know, again, our governing body has limited to what these manufacturers can do. I keep kidding with people, Phil, in the shop. When are they going to run out of names?
Well, they just keep recycling them now.
They come out with so many balls. When are you going to run out of a name?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he is Dwight Albrecht. To follow him on Twitter at Dewey300. You can follow Phil at Brew City Bowling, Phil Brylow. And, of course, check out PBA 50 streaming coming up this weekend with Phil Brylow at Sussex, locally here in Milwaukee. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week. Toodles!